Good morning, St. Andrews. I'm Dana Leota, and I serve here with our Leadership Institute. And I have to tell you, I am still recovering today from Labor Day weekend. It was great to have a day off, but I had to make it to two weddings this last weekend, one in San Diego and one in Denver. And I found myself this whole weekend rushing around, trying to make it work, to fit all of these things in to this 3-day weekend. And it did, it worked. It was a great weekend, but I am exhausted coming off of that weekend, but trying to fit things in. And it really goes beyond this weekend. It feels like this summer has been so packed full of things. I have found myself rushing around. And maybe it's because my capacity is lower than it was before the pandemic, or maybe we're fitting more things in now because we've missed being together. So much of it is good and beautiful, but there's something in my soul that is wrestling with the busyness and the rushing around. And after this weekend, I'm thinking about Jesus and Jesus's concept of time. Jesus clearly had a lot to do, right? Interacted with a lot of people, had a lot of healings, a lot of teaching, a lot going on. Yet Jesus also was God who exists outside of time. So how did this Jesus approach the concept of time? Well, he was very engaged with the concept of time, would very often acknowledge time. He would acknowledge it's not yet my hour. He would note things that had to happen in a certain progression of time. He wasn't totally outside of time to the point where he didn't acknowledge it. We even see in Genesis, God working within the constructs of a schedule in the 7 days of creation that are laid out, illustrating that God worked in the construct of time. But how do we approach time in our busy schedules so that we don't become chaotic, so that we don't lose track of time and get swept up in the rushing around and in the busyness? I read something today that gave me a lot of encouragement. Someone wrote this about Jesus, that he was so conscious of the steadfast love of God enduring throughout the meandering course of human history, that he could give himself freely and fully to the current events surrounding him. Far from being swept along by time's rush and tumble, Jesus lived purposefully and therefore patiently. Some things are in our control in terms of timing, and some things are not within our control. We may have schedules that we don't have a lot of agency over. What does it look like to approach our lives with purpose and patience that Jesus modeled to us? I encourage you to consider this today as you go about your day with whatever it may hold, knowing God's steadfast love that permeates the rhythms of your day, as busy as they may be. How might you give yourself freely and fully to these events so that you may be living purposefully and patiently as Jesus did? I hope that you feel that within your soul this day.